Capcom released Monster Hunter World on January 26, 2018, and it received universal acclaim from critics and players alike for retaining the core of the Monster Hunter formula while opening up to a new audience who were unfamiliar with the series. Just after 3 days of its release, it sold 5 million copies, becoming the fastest selling game in franchise history. Supported by several title updates and an expansion titled Monster Hunter World Iceborne, the game continued to be a major successful entry in the series. On March 26, 2021, Capcom released Monster Hunter Rise, which was a limited time exclusive release for the Nintendo Switch console and went on to sell 4 million copies in 3 days. 4 years later, it's 2025 and the latest entry, Monster Hunter Wilds, has released and Capcom has made history again. The game launched on February 28th and sold 8 million copies in its first 3 days, becoming the fastest selling game in the company's history, surpassing Resident Evil 4 Remake, which sold 3 million copies in 2 days. In this video, I want to share my thoughts on Monster Hunter Wilds after 80 plus hours and why it's Capcom's most ambitious game yet. Now, heads up to all my hunters out there. I do not consider myself to be an expert on Monster Hunter history and its lore. But over the last 4 years, while on and off, I have put more than 200 hours into the series, and it's been quite a journey. I started with World in 2020, but it really didn't hook me at the time. Prior to this, my only knowledge of the series was way back in the PSP era to the mid to late 2000s. I can't even remember which entry it was and how I even got my hands on the game, but it certainly didn't hook me then. I remember the game feeling just really clunky and I just couldn't find the joy in it. But fast forward to 2022 and I had the curious urge to try World once again due to some people I knew on one of my Discord servers, and something just hit different. I don't know if it was the fact that I was now getting it or if it was just the fact that I was playing with others that made the experience more enjoyable. I chose to main the Charge Blade, which impressed those I played with at the time because I was told that it was one of the more difficult weapons to learn in the game. But the weapon suited my gameplay style and it just began to click with every hunt. I continued to play and eventually made my way to base Rise when it was released on PC. Charge Blade was still my main, but I started to try other weapons like Longsword, Bow, and Sword and Shield. I was starting to enjoy the series more and I was encouraged to go back to World and start Iceborne. And I have to say, it's been a blast for me ever since. The thrill of the hunt just got better with each and every battle. Once you discover what type of game Monster Hunter actually is and you are willing to take the time to understand the complex nature of the systems that it has to offer, you just start to love it. Especially if you're a fan of action games that include RPG elements. The gameplay loop just feels rewarding and it's satisfying to where you just want to play again and again. Now, the reason I brought all this up is to point out a major strength of Monster Hunter Wilds. While it may have been slightly difficult for me to get into the franchise and stick with it, newcomers will not have that issue with Wilds. From the moment you start the game, you are immediately introduced to this world and a general cast of likable characters. And yes, that includes Nata. While I understand some criticisms of Nata and his anime-isms, I do like the fact that he had somewhat of a journey to complement a new player's experience of learning who and what a hunter is in this world. I know veterans of the franchise didn't necessarily need this, and there are even some players who just don't care for an overall narrative experience. But I applaud Capcom for taking the risk that further expanded on the method of storytelling that was introduced in World. The overall plot is by no means perfect, but I did find it more engaging this time around. Plus, Capcom has made it so you can skip cutscenes, so everybody wins essentially. But the fact that your hunter actually speaks and you have the choice of different voices with the ability to change the pitch for that voice is such a win. It's very appreciated when games that offer character creation include these type of features because it makes the experience so much more immersive. The story does a good job of introducing you to the various gameplay elements naturally at a steady pace. The narrative helps the player to understand the game mechanics and the gameplay loop through tutorials that I believe are placed exceptionally well. Amongst its complex structure of menus and a numerous amount of options that are available to the player, The game is mostly a welcoming experience, and I think Capcom should be proud of what they've been able to accomplish here. Quests are more of a seamless experience now, with the addition of being able to start one from any location with the assistance of your handler, Alma, who is always with you. She is such a welcome upgrade from World's Handler. To me, she is more chill, relaxed, and a helpful companion to your hunts. And also, I get hype every time I hear her say,
"The guild authorizes you to hunt that Nursilla."
Some players actually dislike this, which is kind of lost to me, but I feel like it's such an epic feeling when starting a hunt. And hunting feels so good in Wilds. Gameplay is fluid and responsive to the point where it feels like a dream. I know that I haven't played earlier games in the franchise, but I can imagine that longtime fans in the series are extremely pleased with how this game feels. With every hunt, I feel myself getting better, and learning each monster's unique style and how to prepare for each encounter is just so much fun. I said it plenty of times in the past, but monster hunting to me feels like playing a game like Street Fighter. With each and every experience, you learn by studying the attack patterns and are rewarded when you react appropriately with what skills you have at your disposal. Wilds introduces a new gameplay element called Focus Mode that adds a whole layer of control to your hunter that was not possible before. It is such a welcome addition and should be a mainstay for the series from this point on. The new wound system feels like it should have been in the series from day one because it provides a natural and realistic element to the hunts. Targeting these areas with successful focus strikes are extremely satisfying and they're just amazing to watch. And might I add, I am so glad that the clutch claw is gone. I was never a fan of the clutch claw system and I feel like it took away from the flow of the battle. Wilds has so many quality of life changes that I didn't think I would appreciate. One example is now how you automatically receive drops after breaking a monster part in the hunt. Originally, I thought I was going to miss picking up shinies, but I actually appreciate this change because it allows you to focus on the hunt and enjoy the battle at hand. And you are well rewarded for your efforts when you take those hard-on parts to your amazing blacksmith Gemma. The weapon designs in this game are amazing. Capcom went above and beyond when it came to listening to player feedback and delivered. I cannot tell you how many times my friends and I saw a new weapon and we were just in awe of how detailed and unique they looked. For my hunting experience in Wilds, I opted to learn to play a new weapon that I hadn't fully experienced before. With the ability to now have 2 weapons in your arsenal, I wanted to fully commit to something other than the charge blade. Towards the end of my time with Iceborne, I started to use the greatsword, the bow, and the switch axe, but I really started to love sword and shield. And during the Wilds beta, I was even debating on using the gun lance as well. So, I decided on sword and shield and the hunting horn. A weapon that I never fully understood until I started playing it myself in the beta. And I had a moment of realization to the point where I was upset with myself that I haven't used it until now. Truthfully, I always thought it was an ugly support weapon. Yes, I apologize, I was wrong. But my goodness, the hunting horns in this game are amazing. The devs went all in on the designs and making the weapons feel so different. It's gotten to the point where I'm now using 2 hunting horns instead of a different weapon. But seriously, I haven't seen all the weapons in the game. Shout out to Capcom for exceeding expectations. And the monsters, my god. I'll have a video coming out soon talking about my favorite monsters in the game so far, so if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can check that out when it drops. But every monster is unique and feels alive in each and every encounter. The attention to detail, even outside of the battle, is insane, and the devs really went out their way to make the nature of this world feel so alive. And the environments are just amazing. They each provide complete different vibes, and sometimes I catch myself just wandering around because they're so fun to explore. The seamless integration of traveling throughout each region is also a very welcome addition that adds so much to the scale of the game, and I cannot wait to see what they add to the environments in the inevitable expansion for the game. Now, I cannot just praise about what's positive about the game and not discuss some of the negatives as well. While Wilds has exceptional presentation and gameplay improvements, your mileage may vary depending on your choice of platform. I own Monster Hunter Wilds on Steam and PS5. I mainly game on PC and bought a copy on PS5 as well so my wife could play. And while I can't comment on the Xbox Series X and S versions of the game, I can say the PS5 runs pretty well. Many were worried about the performance of the game after the beta, but I had no doubt in my mind that Capcom would optimize the game on release. But the Steam version of the game has been widely criticized for its optimization issues. I run the game on the RTX 3080, and while the majority of my experience has been mostly smooth, there were some moments where the frame rate suffered randomly, or there were occasional texture pop-ups and certain texture loading issues. And I know frame generation is a divisive topic, but I found that in this game, it actually was used pretty well. But I do understand both sides of the argument, but that's a conversation for another day. I would just recommend you to do your own personal research before purchasing the game on Steam. And while I did praise Capcom for its immersive world and story, the multiplayer experience can hinder that immersion at times. Monster Hunter Wilds does support 4-player co-op, but not in the way you would expect. Main story quests cannot be fully enjoyed in the traditional co-op fashion, and is instead disjointed by an invitation system. Now, I do believe the Link Party is a great system, and it gets the job done when you want others to get automatic invitations to your quests, but to new players this could very well be a turnoff for those who are expecting a seamless experience with their friends. I feel it would have been so much worthwhile to have a system similar to Rise, where you could queue up together in the hub, experience the cutscenes together, and then begin the quest at the same time. The additional environmental link system provides a fun, seamless hunting experience, but it would be so beneficial to actually have the ability to do quests from Alma in the area together as well, but unfortunately, you cannot. Maybe the scope of the foundation of the game was a bit too ambitious for the team, but hopefully a title update or the expansion can fix these issues in the future. Lastly, when it comes to difficulty, I'm just going to cut to the point. Yes, the game does feel easier, but this is just a base game. And the first title update is coming on April 4th, and it's going to add more to the experience that we have already been given. Thanks to Capcom's recent showcase that was held just the other day, we got to see a lot of new things that are going to be added to the game, and I cannot wait to see how that's going to change up the flow. While I think the criticism is granted, I do think we should allow Capcom some time before we truly judge the foundation of the base game. It's safe for me to say that I fully trust in the team to continue to deliver an incredible experience with Monster Hunter Wilds. From the moment it was revealed at the Game Awards in 2023, I knew that there was something different about it. After the first gameplay trailer was released, I was fully convinced that my suspicions were correct and that this entry in the franchise was going to be an ambitious undertaking. It was the next generation of Monster Hunter, and the marketing to push the game felt stronger than ever. Sure, that's the goal as a business in gaming, but as the year went on, you could just feel the buzz surrounding the game growing tremendously. Even with the release of an unoptimized beta build, the game still garnered enough interest in gamers and content creators. Capcom stood firm and confident in their ability to deliver a quality game that everyone could come to enjoy no matter what type of gamer they were. It's crazy to think that the first Monster Hunter game was released back in 2004, and 20 years later, Capcom has proved that they can continue to innovate and make the Monster Hunter experience even better than the last. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my thoughts on Monster Hunter Wilds. This is my first review type video that I've done. I've always talked about games in the past, but it's been more of on a conversation level, talking to people on stream or whatnot. But this is the first one I really kind of just thought about and wrote up my thoughts, and I have fun with it. So let me know what you thought about the video, and let me know how you're enjoying the game. If you're a veteran of the series, I want to know, has it lived up to your expectation? What's your favorite weapon? What's your favorite monster? Please let me know in the comments. And if you're a newcomer, was it a fairly easygoing experience for you to get into the game? Or do you not agree with some of my takes? But please let me know and I'll take it easy. Peace.